Welcome to the DG Coffee Chats Extra Special Blend. I'm Sisi Wright, the host and Director of Membership and Engagement at Directors Gathering. I'm joined by my DG team members, Jill Harrison, Executive Director and Founder of DG, and Brey Ann Barrett, Director of Programming. This episode is an extra special blend because I'll be joined by my team members and because we, for the first time, were able to host a hybrid convening from the campus of Swarthmore College. Swarthmore College became a partner with DG this year for the second annual convening, and I want to say thank you so much for your partnership and for your support. What that meant for us this year was that the DG team was able to convene in person to host the convening virtually for our community, as well as connecting with the Swarthmore community, including faculty, staff, and students on campus. Thank you again to Swarthmore College for your partnership. Another first for us this year, Middle Brother Coffee Roasters became the first official sponsor of the DG Coffee Chat. So thank you very much to Middle Brother for sponsoring this episode of the Coffee Chat and for bringing us some delicious coffee during the convening. So we are about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks now from the convening this year that we were able to host from the campus of Swarthmore College. And we're here reflecting on that experience. So Jill and Brey, can we start talking about what it was like to be on the campus of Swarthmore College hosting the convening this year? Jill, do you want to go first?
Sure. I feel like it was a great gift to get to be in such a meaningful location. There's a lot of fresh air, and their campus is an arboretum, so it was really lovely to get to have that kind of meaningful environment, to get to be in real time and in space with each other and with the board and with some of the guest artists and some of the Swarthmore students was also really meaningful. It was the first time that we had been in person in real time since 2019. So it was quite a milestone. And I really honestly couldn't have thought of a better place, a more effective place for us to be, just to have that sense of, it's an environment for education and for community building and connection. And so it felt great.
Brey, what are your thoughts about that, being on Swarthmore's campus?
Well, I don't have the same history with Swarthmore that Jill does. So for me, it was like, ooh, wow, everything's so new and fancy. Being on an arboretum, it was really lovely. I will say it was there was something that felt like a little surreal about it. About being on this campus, being in nature, and feeling a little inspired by just the openness and the connection, for the purposes of a convening. The being able to walk around, talk to each other as colleagues in a shared space, and think about what community is, and there was this strange feeling that I had, and this is where the surrealism is, of okay, this is what community is typically, but I feel more connected by these people who aren't in this space. Feeling more connected to the people in the virtual space, and I think that has a lot to do with the community that we've crafted with our members, and being able to re-engage with people that I've seen at salons and other other programs that we've done, seeing those familiar faces and seeing new faces and being excited about those conversations we were going to be having, in spite of the fact that we were on this really beautiful campus and in each other's real presence. So it made me step back and go like, what does this look like for DG to do it completely in person, but also really validating and feeling a lot of value for the virtual community that we've built.
That's interesting. It almost sounds like what you're saying, Bree, is like there was like a grounding that was established. I mean, like we were physically in space, right? So there's grounding, but like being in physical space with each other, folks that we are familiar with, probably most familiar with, in comparison to everybody else who we were inviting into the space for the convening weekend. But that how that grounding helped with feeling, I don't know, a sense of like I was going to say propelling into the convening programs and events.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what was really lovely is like we had both our seminar and the pickup class in person. Like we had them being virtually presented from Swarthmore, but I was just as inspired and invigorated by like the roundtable discussion and the keynote that we didn't have the like real in-person connection with, as I did like being able to stand next to Jude or stand next to CJ as they were presenting their pieces. And again, I think that that's just like a validation of the community that we've been building over the past several years in the virtual space.
Great. So what about the actual content from the weekend? So we had a bunch of programs and presented them virtually and hybrid and had some students in the space with us as well. But of all that, can you share something that resonated with you, even these, 2 weeks later that we're in? And if you have reflected on why it's resonating, that as well. Bree, why don't you start?
Sure. I think one of the really cool things for me was the motifs or the themes that seem to like keep popping up across the programs from these guest artists who hadn't actually like seen each other or known anything about each other's content. And so like there was a lot of sowing seeds and a lot of change and a lot of the importance of differing perspectives and how that just like that creates a versatility to the communities that we're forming, and how that has the potential of really changing the landscape of our industry in a way that may actually make it sustainable. And I found that to be really fascinating, that the folks were like hitting upon these different points, and like CJ Miller giving kind of like a TikTok 101 lesson as a way of saying like, here is a format in which you can build community and you can be vulnerable and you can create narrative. And all of that is valuable in the space of theater as well. I was very harking to like Jude's seminar, in which he's like, ask lots of questions, don't come into this space like feeling like you're the only person who has the answers, and build that community within the process. And the importance that Nataki was bringing up about how like we are not okay, and that what that gives us permission to do is make change, to be change makers as a community. And so all of that is like really sitting with me, and the importance of working together and that kind of goes back to the beginnings of DG, which was the director being siloed and needing community with other directors. And what this weekend, the convening weekend did for me is just solidified the purpose of DG, which is that if we are going to see sustainable, important change, we cannot be siloed as artists. We have to see each other as peers and colleagues who can help each other, and not are people who are getting the job that you didn't get, and that's really exciting to me. Yeah, that's something that's still sitting with me.
Jill, how about you?
Well, first off, I really appreciated that amazing summary. It was like reliving the whole weekend. So thank you for that. And it's interesting. I had shared at the very beginning of our promotional process, if you will, our external engagement for the convening of we answered the question of what we're most excited about for the convening. And my response was centered in the multi-generational component of it, of being able to be in a shared, either virtual or real-time space, and in conversation and in community with folks who are in all facets of their artistic journeys. And also that sense of global artistry as well, of our universality of art making being the theme this year. I think it was really exciting to get to expand that ecosystem and expand that sense of, to Brey's point about sustainability, right? So how can a director go from being siloed and singular to being in a community of directors, to then also expanding that and being in a community of multi-generational artists? And what does that look like? And how are we interfacing with each other and staying open and aware and excited about a mutual sense of benefit between the work that we make and the work that other artists and other mediums make, because we're all having very similar conversations, and all very similar challenges. So how can we help, grow together, and learn from each other and learn with each other? And, to go and also to observe from Brey's point about Nataki sharing in her keynote of, it's not okay. And that's okay that it's not okay. It was fascinating to witness her offer there about, and it's such a global one, and where she is in her career and in her artistic journey, to then be in a room the next day with students at Swarthmore who are just really getting ready to expand their community beyond their program, and what that's like to consider expanding your community and your art and your practice within a field that is not okay. And a field that's also, I would offer, and Nataki did too, it hasn't been okay. It's not like it just, 2020 hit and things were all of a sudden not okay. So how they can be a part of that, how we all can be a part of that, whether you are, just stepping beyond graduating from an undergraduate theater program, to just stepping beyond a graduate program, to just stepping beyond wherever you define that for yourself. Right. We actually also, in Mighty Networks, the conversation continued and the reflection continued. And there was an offer around how we look back to multi-generational. How do we offer opportunity and community for directors who might have been an actor for 15, 20 years and is now self-defining as a director? And what is that journey like? And how do we hold space and share resources and pointed conversation for that experience? And yeah, it just, and then again, back to the round table, and to have artists from all different perspectives in a space. Some folks with varied perspectives, and also a director perspective, just in one human, so that was also neat too, to witness folks like Macy and Amber share the designer hat and the director hat, and the arts administrator hat, and the museum administrator hat, right? And again, we're all having these kind of essential and global conversations. Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, I think it's what I'm hearing and thinking about in spaces outside of DG is paying attention to the repetitions and the echoes.
Yeah.
Especially when they're happening not in a crafted artistic piece, right? Because I think that's like one of those like, you know, dramaturgy tools is to like pay attention to the repetitions and the echoes of a play, right? But it's because they happen in the universe and they mean something there too in our realities. And so we have to pay attention and be prepared to, you know, to plug in or to think deeply about what it is we're witnessing, and if it's happening again, or if it's sounding like something that happened again, that is a signal to lean in and pay attention. So I think that like seeing that in the convening, particularly with our theme, absolutely makes sense. And I appreciate you reflecting with me on all of that happened a couple of weeks ago. And thank you for being partners in planning and organizing this event for the second year.
Thank you,
Thank you, Sisi.
Thank you for watching DG Coffee Chat. To support this and other programs at Directors Gathering, visit directorsgathering.org and click Donate.